What's up, you guys? Martin and Miranda Drexler here, and we're here tonight to sum up our 2018 for you because we're just about to head into the holidays with a couple of eggnogs.
Yes, we are.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So we're here tonight at the Zhand Team office, which is something that didn't exist for us, or even the Zhand Team actually, at the start of 2018. So we wanted to kind of walk you guys through the journey that has been, first of all, our journey into real estate, our journey into real estate investment, and I think our journey really towards financial independence. So at the start of this year, I know that both of us had an action plan. We were really looking forward to hitting our goal of actually achieving our first rental property. And before 2018, we actually had no idea how that would be possible, or if it was even possible at all within the next couple of years. And I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
So how did you start off 2018? Where were you working? What were you thinking about? What were you doing?
Okay, so we had recently finished school. To recap, so of 2018, I still don't have my degree in international business management. Still not there. I only need one credit though, an elective. I will get it done in the next couple years. So we had just recently finished and gotten out of school. I had been working at Dixon's Distilled Spirits. If you haven't heard of them, go check them out. Locally produced premium spirits, really good stuff. So I had been working there for 3 years when I left. So 3 years of business development, learning how to make alcohol, which is really cool. So business development, product development, marketing, social media management. I got into sales, which I pushed back from at first. I wasn't quite sure about going into the LCBOs and selling the product because it's not something that really drew my attention, but jumped into that and had some successes. And then it was basically January of, or actually December of 2017, wouldn't it have been? When we decided that we were gonna switch things up and real estate was the way.
Yeah, so I mean, both of us were headed down very different paths than where we're at today.
Yeah.
So I know for sure I was actually working in an office at the end of 2017. So I was working as a headhunter, a recruiter, and I was going to a 9-to-5 job every day. And then kind of towards the end of the year, I think in November, December, anyways, it doesn't matter. But at somewhere near the end of the year, we both kind of decided that the office life wasn't for us. And I think you decided that you weren't going to be able to necessarily hit your income goals and those different goals that would bring us closer to real estate. Because we had decided that the path that we were on looked like probably a fairly successful American dream type life, but it really didn't have anything to do with financial independence. And that's what we were ultimately after. And what kind of drove us there is the fact that we were both working 15, 16-hour days, and we really weren't getting any personal development, professional development, or any lifestyle development in the near future. So I know for me, it would have taken about a year and a half to kind of hit up to that 6-figure mark. But even then, I would have still been like 1,000% committed to this office job, and I could see where that was taking me. I mean, I could see effects in my health, I could see effects in my attitude, I could see effects in just overall personal development was just extremely lacking. So we both sat down in our living room with a whiteboard, and we decided that, you know, we had to pick one of the few paths that would take us towards financial independence. And I know we had some crazy options. There was like, you know, you could win the lottery, you could invest in stocks, you could essentially do some kind of high earning passive strategy. But really, when it came down to it, the ultimate strategy that we figured would be the most repeatable and most likely to succeed would be real estate investment. And that's kind of how we ended up here. Because both of us ultimately just quit our jobs at the end of 2017 and committed to go 100% into real estate investment, and then take a path which basically every decision along the way would have to be made surrounding the idea that it would get us closer. It would move us closer to that goal of actually owning real estate.
Yeah.
So for me, that meant I quit my office job. I started working actually as a contractor up north, so that was a big leap. I had to go from seeing Miranda every single day and living in a 1-bedroom apartment together, to actually moving to Port Carling, which is like a few hours north. And so right away I was like, well, that's going to be pretty shitty because we're living so far away from each other and we're not going to be able to really see each other that often. But ultimately we had decided that like real estate was the goal, and that everything we did moving forward wouldn't be about money, it wouldn't be about time or fitness or health or anything, it would be about real estate. And so that's what we did. And so I moved 3 hours north and started learning some contracting skills, which apparently I should have sticked around a little longer, because Matt McKeever will tell you I'm not the greatest contractor. But ultimately, one of us had to work with our hands on real estate, and then one of us had to go and use the brain power and learn how to purchase and how to sell real estate and what to look for in a good deal and all of that. So that's what brought you here, where we are sitting today. So
to the Zhand Team.
Yeah, tell them a bit about the Zahnd Team, because I know that brand doesn't necessarily reach all of Ontario yet. So
yeah. So how did I find the Zhand Team? So one thing that I had kind of been experiencing is that when you set out with good intentions, the right things will come to you. Like for me to get the opportunity to work at a distillery and have that experience in building a business and learning how to do something that basically no one knows how to do.
Yeah.
That just fell in my lap. That opportunity was there and I took it. So when we decided that real estate was something that we needed to get into, my immediate thought was, okay, I'm going to sign up for OREA, so the Ontario Real Estate Association, to get my license. That's step one. Did that, and then it's okay. So I can get my license and continue working, or I can find an opportunity where I can be in the real estate industry, not as a realtor, but just surround myself with people who are in it to get as much knowledge as I can. So at the time I was looking at like front desk positions and interviewing brokerages. Like I hadn't even started the courses yet, and I was already booking coffees with realtors, brokers, people all over Guelph, just to get a handle on what can I do and what do I need to do to be successful. So I came across, I signed up on all of the job postings, like searching for real estate positions. So I was getting all of the email notifications, and then the Zahnd Team came up. And honestly, the thing that really blew me away was the description of what they were looking for. They were looking for a rock star. And I was like, I want to be a rock star. And it went through all of the things they're looking for. And it wasn't the typical, like, we want 10 years experience and this and that. It was like, we want someone who's great with people, who can, who's growth oriented, who wants to learn, who will be a rock star and who wants to be excellent. And I was like, I want to be excellent. I need to be a part of this. So signed up. It was a really interesting interview process. It really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. It's like a 5-step process. I had to do a video of myself. So over the course of the year, obviously now I'm a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, but honestly, doing this video of myself, and it was just a selfie style, like, tell us 3 reasons why you think you're awesome. Yeah. And I did 100 takes. My whole camera roll was videos of me, like, oh shoot, did it wrong. Yeah. But anyway, did it. Got in. I was blown away by this team and what they're doing and their mission, what they stand for, and I saw tremendous opportunity to grow as a human being. And looking back from what I thought I was getting into to where I am, it's real.
Yeah,
I've changed as a human.
For sure. And, there was always that potential there, but certainly when we first met, I know that you weren't thinking about a position in sales. I know you weren't thinking about a position where every single day you'd be cold calling people and introducing yourself to new people and networking on a 10x level that we're doing now. And I can, it's pretty obvious the difference. And I mean, we can scrape back through the camera roll and kind of see videos or look at those pieces of evidence, because we've both done a really good job at documenting our last year in form of Instagram stories that are always saved, Facebook stories, and all these different posts, and kind of just tracking where we're at. And I know it's just going to be unbelievable to look back at this, in 2025. Let's see that follow-up video.
Yes.
But,
so Adam had been in sales previously, and tried to tell me how sales was amazing and the opportunity that's within it. both in the personal development, in communicating with humans, but also in the financial aspect of it and what you can get with it. And I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm going to do something different. I don't want to do sales. I don't want to be a salesperson.
Yeah, she was in the operations management stream at our program, which would have been like a desk job, 9 to 5. I don't know if you ever even see the light. They probably
making
run windows.
Good money as like a project manager.
They
but
made like $100,000 or something.
Something like that. But, you know, through getting into this, one thing that Adam had always said to me is everything is a sale. And that went over my head. I was like, what do you mean? And now I get it. Everything is a sale.
Yeah.
From, I don't know, from getting you to watch this video, we had to make it look appealing so that you're here and you're here. This is amazing.
I had to get somebody to make me an eggnog. That's a sale.
That was me.
I'm still selling her.
So everything, you know, when you invite somebody out, you're selling that experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. Everything is a sale. So that was a big learning curve for me.
Yeah, for sure. And that it hits people hard. People typically just let that float right over them when you say that, but literally everything's a sale. And that's how we got here. So once we both transitioned jobs, I then set out kind of on a real course towards real estate investment when I went on a Weibo limo tour with Matt McKeever and Jeff Weibo, and we actually started looking at some London investment properties that were, you know, they're a quarter in some cases the price of what I was used to seeing in Collingwood where I'm from, and it's certainly a quarter prices or maybe half prices of what we were seeing in Guelph and Kitchener and Waterloo, because we were looking at the market all the time and really getting fanatic about it. So we went on this limo tour in London, and that's when obviously I met Matt and Jeff, and it was just so clear right away that these were guys that I needed to partner up with. These were some guys that I needed to know better, and I just made it happen, guys. Like, I straight up committed like 10x, went for it. I told Matt, like, hey man, I'm looking for work, I need to work with you, because after our first interaction I went home and watched probably 300 of his videos and I made super awesome notes on like every video I was watching. Miranda would come home and I'm just preaching to her about what I just learned that day on Matt's channel, and I really just kind of dove into it. And by making the commitment to Matt, I effectively worked for sustenance, or like close to volunteer basically. I really went that extra mile to get into working with Matt and Jeff so that I could deliver them massive value while still learning all the skills and learning everything that I needed to learn. So, you know, on one hand, I basically said no to my income. I'd said no to the steady stream, the safe path, and really jumped into what would end up being my first couple of properties just by straight committing. I mean, there was a lot of people that weren't really willing to commit to Matt and Jeff at that point. They weren't ready to go all in. They weren't ready to kind of show that enthusiasm and passion and staying power. And I did that. Like, I was driving from Guelph to London every single day, all winter, right? So on the 401, that's like an hour and 15 both ways. I think it was over 600 kilometers a week, and I was doing that day in and night. And the hours that I was working at the start of the year were incredible. Like, I was doing probably 14, 15-hour days, and then I would stack that couple-hour drive on either end of that, and then get home, sleep for a little while in Guelph, and then drive back and do it again. And we were typically working every day. Excuse me. So that's the kind of effort that it took to really get me where I would end up at the end of the year now. So right now we've got 2 properties, and I think a big factor in that was really taking home a lot of the skills that Matt talks about and that the network talks about, and then seriously inserting ourselves into the center of Matt's network and committing on building those relationships, building that trust in the network, really showing everybody that we're delivering value first before we're asking for anything. And we did that a lot. So I did that form of wholesaling. I attended basically every networking event this year, and really just kind of hammered it home. And that's what really taught me these strategies, like the vendor take-back mortgage strategy or cashback mortgages and joint venture structures, and really just getting out there. All that exposure is what kind of led us there.
Yeah, and the other really important part here too is that we were fully bought in on each other. So some people might argue that it was a terrible idea for us both of us to quit our jobs
at the same time
in the same month to jump into new things. You know, I was thrown a curveball where I had a month of time with nothing to do. I was in between both jobs, so you know things could have gone real sideways. And then even once we started going, so I started into the Zhand Team, and Adam was like, you know, I've got this great opportunity, I'm gonna switch into wholesaling. So it's like, okay, we're doing it.
Yeah.
So just having 100% commitment in the big goal and knowing that, you know, we might have to support each other along the way, but it's all in an effort to get us closer.
Yeah, and I know like people have asked me before, they've asked kind of how this all works, like, you know, whose names are on title, how do you share the money, how does that all work? And I gotta tell you guys, like, we might be the worst business people for this, but like, we just don't give a shit about who's paying for what, where it's all going. I mean, we're doing the accounting, like we know the money that's coming in and going out, but we're not counting pennies, guys. We're not following a T ledger by the cent to figure out who's putting in what, who's doing what. I mean, like I did most of the renovations at our first property and I just cranked it out in like a week. I did it all myself. And like whenever Miranda was home and had time, she would help. But like, we're not counting the hours that anybody's putting in or the dollars spent on whose side. It's like, let's just fucking hit this goal and hit it right, hit it hard.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where if you're truly acting as a team, you're going to achieve 10 times the results. And I think we've really demonstrated that in our ability to close the first property with a 96% vendor take back at 3% for 13 years, go in there and crank out a $7,000 renovation, which included all the strategic renos. So we did flooring, we did a kitchenette, new appliances. So we've got new stainless fridge down there, we've got new washer and dryer, new vanity down there. Luxury vinyl plank flooring everywhere, painted the whole building, new light fixtures, new hardware. We've got now a parking lot in the back. We removed a section of fence. We got rid of all the needles and crazy shit that were in the building when we first acquired it. We've now got a security system set up. Like we have done everything to this building, and I think we did it for about $7,000.
Yeah, and we acquired this. It's not like we've been doing this over the course of a full year.
Yeah.
We've done this in a couple months.
Yeah, and I think I forgot to mention this year that this year I've also had an extravagant networking opportunity really in Hull, because I've already been to Grant Cardone's. It was like a 10X conference. It wasn't a growth conference, but we're actually going to that in February 2019. But we went to a Grant Cardone conference where we got to meet Elena and Jared and Ryan Secco, Captain Ryan, and we got to meet Johnny the camera guy and shook hands with Grant Cardone. Awesome opportunity. We ended up meeting a couple really awesome guys in Miami that are doing wholesaling and different real estate ventures there. And then when I got back from that, I actually went to the Tony Robbins event from Success Resource America this year, which was fantastic. So I got super pumped up and got to meet some really interesting people there and learn some different tactics to manage your focus and energy and behavior and kind of overall energy, which was really cool from Tony Robbins. And then right after that, I was at the Keyspire Investors Growth Summit for 2018, which was, you know, a $25,000 event that we got invited to by one of the followers on YouTube. So again, huge shout out to Kim there. Yeah. But you know, it's these opportunities and these events and these kind of passions that are going to lead you to super successful outcomes when you truly commit, put the work in after. Because I've been going to all these events. I've been dragging Miranda out to like the real events and London on Fires and that kind of thing. Actually, I don't think you've been to a London on Fire, but I've been dragging her out to events. But I mean, it's all about being a constant presence, really staying true to your word and then taking massive action on the deliverables that you're receiving at these events and the information you're gathering from these people, right? I don't think, well, Matt at the start of the year said he'll do his best to try and get me a property for the end of the year. And I honestly didn't believe it. I wasn't really sure how that would ever happen, and I don't know if Matt was sure either, but he was sure that it would happen. He just wasn't sure how. And really the way it ended up happening was through education. He just showed me all the tools, and I got the opportunity to really gather what strategies he was using. But not only him, I got to see from other people in the network that we're really close to. I got to learn from guys like Sean Allen, Corey McKinnon, Kellen, Dylan, and like Dan Warren, and all these guys that are just buying these massive properties and doing it super regularly. And really it became this kind of challenge with Matt, where I'm like, you know what, this is funny because, you know, I'm 24 years old right now, you're 23, and because we've surrounded ourselves with these people, because we've made sure that the top 5 people we spend the most time with are the best quality people we can find in what we want to do, right? Like they're the best in our industry. And that's who we're waking up beside every day. That's who we're networking with. That's who we're flying around the world with. That's who we're associating with. That's who we party with now, like if we're gonna party. So it's one of those things, guys, that just being around those people really allowed me to gather all of their information and then deploy it in our own way. So right now, I mean, we're house hacking a 5-bed, 2-bath student rental in London, Ontario, but we're also doing an Airbnb room in the one room. So it's like Airbnb room, 3 tenants that are students, and then you and I and Chester, our cat, in one building. So, I mean, that is a quantum leap from the 1-bedroom apartment that we were in at the start of the year.
For sure. Yeah, and the other thing I'd like to touch on too is the personal growth that we've had. So we've done an incredible amount of stuff related just to real estate and working towards our goals, but we've also grown a lot. So kind of like we touched on at the very beginning, where I was super camera shy, wasn't sure about this, and then, you know, getting on social media. But it started with when I found the Zhand Team. I creeped all of their team members' social media, and I found out that they were listening to, on Audible, Grant Cardone, 10X.
Oh, 10X,
So that was, I was like, okay, they're doing 10X, I gotta do 10X. So we went and got the book, started reading it, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, Grant Cardone? Yes, I get what he's saying. So that was like the first step into our real like personal development. And one thing that we do a lot of here is personal development. If you want to learn anything, Zhand Team will make sure that you can learn it. So, you know, through me jumping into learning, and then with you, with Matt, they're doing a ton of learning as well, research projects. We're both leveling up. So, you know, I've heard it 100 times before. You can't just level up your business and leave your personal behind. You've got to level up your fitness, your eating, your reading and learning. You have to level up as a whole, and we've certainly done that this year.
Yeah, I think I've listened to over 30 books at least this year. I've listened to over 100 podcasts. I've got started on intermittent fasting. I've done over 36,000 calories burned at Orange Theory because they track that stuff there. And yeah, I think it's been a massive change this year. It's been an incredible experience. And I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't be happier to be surrounded by people both in person and online like you guys that are spending your time and your attention on videos like this, and on growing, and on just surrounding yourselves with the right kind of knowledge, because you truly are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but also the media that you consume. So I think it's really clear that if you can make the leaps that we've done, if you can actually commit and take action the way that we have, anything's truly possible. And you know, you guys will probably notice on Matt's channel, just around the same time that this video is coming out, that these videos of Casey Wong, an investor from Toronto, are just popping right now. And that guy he's got about 200 units, and he did it using the same strategies we're using on our student rentals. He did it using the same strategies that you guys have read about, heard about. It's just that he took action on it, and he actually imagined how possible it was, and then took action on how possible it was to do it with extra zeros. Okay, he's buying properties that are $8 million, $7 million and more, not because he has that money, but because he's aware of the strategies, and he's aware and confident that he can deploy them with the right backing. And so he did what I did with Instagram, except he did it in a more traditional sense, where he raised, I think it was $8 million in a day. So, I mean, like, that number is fucking insane, but only because we haven't trained ourselves to be able to do that. And he just has. He simply has accepted that that's possible and committed himself to delivering on the results that he knows he can. And so he can get that kind of financing back to back whenever he needs it, and then execute on these massive deals. And again, it's not because he just is loaded with money. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he probably is now, but that's not where he started. He started out the same way we did, with a huge passion, a huge network, and really the hunger to go and attack it. So
Yeah.
I think I want to leave it with that, because I think he was one of the best guys that I got to meet wrapping up this year. It was just a great reminder that honestly the 10X rule is a real thing. It's possible. You just have to commit. Surround yourself with the right people, surround yourself with the right media, and get leveling up, guys. Be obsessed. Average is a failing formula. And I'm going to take it right from Grant Cardone, because it is honestly the truth. So do your best, escape average. Thank you so much for spending your time and attention on us. You could have spent it anywhere else on the world. There's kitten videos, sloth videos, and all sorts of X-rated videos you could be spending your attention on right now. And you chose us.
That's amazing.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you
you.
soon. Have
Bye.
a great new year. Have great holidays. And we will see you in 2019.